For just the third time in North Central program history, the Cardinals have run the table in the regular season. But they don't want to stop there. It's playoff time. We recap the regular season and look ahead to the games that really count next on the Red Zone. Welcome inside the Red Zone. I'm Justin Zipser. North Central head coach John Thorne with us to open the show. And John, an outright CCIW title after the Augustana win. That's your 8th straight, and I guess it's kind of apropos to get it against Augustana, who won 8 straight, 1981 through 1988. Overall, a great season. I know there's a lot to go through, but we'll stick with this Augie game. What worked? It was a great start to for your team in the first quarter.
Well, the wind worked good, in our favor, I thought, a few times during that game. But for some reason, Augustana just couldn't get started. Our guys were really focused. We came out and executed extremely well right from the very first play of the game. And then, of course, to have your senior linebacker Nick Slezak scoop up a fumble and run in for a touchdown on senior day. I mean, how perfect is that to start a game, And that happened pretty early in the game. Mm-hmm. So it was just a fun game. A lot of seniors made some really big plays. Trey Hardeman, interception, and if he would have stayed by the sideline, he probably would have gone a lot farther, but he cut it back. He got teased quite a bit about that one. But Chad O'Kane, 2 great touchdown catches, Spencer, another great day, and our 2 tackles on the offensive line, Greg Wayland and Jace Werkheiser really played extremely well that whole first half. And so that's kind of what you'd like to see is that senior thing go out. And, of course, Nick Dace, I could have let him try 5 field goals that day, but one time I decided, well, let's just see if we can make this 4th down, and then we didn't even make it. I should had I realized that would have allowed him to break the record. I'm really disappointed that I didn't think of that at the time, and even a week ago at Wheaton, the very first drive, we had the wind at our back. We're stopped at the 40. That would have been one of those 57-yard attempts. We should have kicked that one too, but he had a really great game and a great 4 years for us. He owns every record there is to own in the whole CCIW for kickers, and so it was a fun day for him.
A record-breaking career, record-breaking day for Nick, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But first, let's take a look back to Saturday and see exactly how North Central dominated on Senior Day.
Senior Day at Benedetti Worley Stadium, Spencer Stanek, Shane Durking, and Jace Werkheiser among a large group of successful seniors celebrated. Cards with a shot to go 10-0 in the regular season for the first time in 3 years. Standing in their way, Augustana College, only the 2nd starter of the year for QB Chris Salazar, linebacker Eric Westerberg, top 3 in the CCIW in tackles. NCC first series, offense makes it look easy. A good mix of run and pass. Here's Ryan Kent with a 14-yard first down rush. A slant to Peter Sorensen gets the Cards near the 10-yard line. 3 plays later, 6 points. Stanek locates Chad O'Kane in the corner to get North Central on the board. 3 and out on Augie's first series, and the Cardinals only take 2 plays to punch it back in. 46 yards to O'Kane, who splits the Vikings secondary, 13-0. Scoring not over yet, and this time it's the defense getting in on the action. Salazar pitching on the option. It is not a good one. Nick Slezak, opportunistic as always, scoops the ball up and takes it the distance, 20-0. North Central 5.5 minutes in. Later, second quarter, Kevin Loof with the big punt. Kyle Snow can't handle it. Cards doing a great job of picking up loose balls on the run. Ryan Rezak with this one. Down to 5, it turns into a Nick Dace 29-yard field goal. Deep into the second quarter later on, Stanek to Sorensen for the score. 31st touchdown pass of the season, a new NCC record, 33-0. 40-7 at the half, Dace with 4 field goals in the game. That's a new single-game program record. It all adds up to a big win, an unbeaten regular season, and an outright conference title.
So Senior Day is a day I'm assuming as a coach you look forward to each and every year. What was the experience like this year? Such a long line of seniors coming through before the game to kind of be recognized for their 4+ years in some cases at North Central.
Well, I do love Senior Day as long as we're not playing the most important team on the whole schedule. You know, like a year ago we had Senior Day against Wheaton. And it just seemed like there was just this little dab of sadness because it's their last home game and everything, and yet we needed to come out and play really hard right away, and we had some turnovers and things and got off to a rough start. This year, this senior class, it doesn't make any difference what kind of obstacle you throw in front of them, they just adjust to it. And so I wasn't nearly as worried as we were last year. And it is a fun day because you get to give a big hug to the mom and dad and to the player and let them know how much you really love them and how much they've meant to the program. And of course, we're going to really miss them. But we wanted to really celebrate and have fun for what they've accomplished. Now, it's a brand new season. What can we do for these seniors, with these seniors, to really make a splash here in the playoffs? So that's where we're at right now. Hopefully some good things are going to happen.
I know you want to make a splash in the playoffs, but I guess we'd be a little remiss if we didn't kind of look back on the season that was, the regular season that was. And the all CCIW teams were released this week. 16 of your guys were on there, tied for first in the conference with Illinois Wesleyan. Such a great group of guys, a lot of all-conference players. You have a defensive player of the year in Shane Durking, an offensive player of the year in the conference with Spencer Stanek. How can you talk about this team? It's kind of superlative at this point to use any type of way to describe them. How can you describe the way you've seen your team play this year?
Well, an awful lot of those 16 are seniors, so I'm very nervous about next year because we're graduating an awful lot of great players. Yeah. But 12 of them were on the first team, which is, I think, the biggest number we've ever had on the first team before. And of course, having the 2 Player of the Year with Spencer and Shane was just fantastic. So we're very, very happy for them and for the whole team. I think all of them certainly deserve to be there. They made amazing plays for us during their whole career, but especially during this 2013 season.
And on the game against Augie, let's go back to that a little bit. Your defense played fantastic. Nick Slezak, 4 tackles for loss. You held another CCIW opponent, all 7 of them below 300 yards. Is the defense where you want it to be for playoff time, or can you still work on some things?
Well, we're really happy with where the defense is. You never know in the playoffs what kind of team you're going to run into, you know? And so you're always still trying to tweak things and see if you can't get a little bit better at tackling or a little bit better at block destruction or a little bit better at pass defense and so on and so forth. But we've had a great practice yesterday. We're practicing with helmets only, which is the first time we've tried this, you know, late in the season before. But we've had so many injuries, we need to give their bodies back to them.
Only 13 points given up per game. That's tops in the CCIW. Keep it locked here on the Red Zone. We continue to chat with Coach Thorne about the playoffs after the break.
Yes, ready. Let's go get it.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
We're back inside the Red Zone. Coach Thorne with us for a couple more minutes. And Coach, your first round playoff opponent this week is Albion, a team you haven't played in nearly 80 years. So it's a rivalry that is going to be renewed. I guess you can call it a rivalry. 2-1 advantage for Albion since 1934. let's get into it. This team gives up around 28 points per game, not a great defense. How are you going to try to attack them on Saturday?
Well, I think they've got a lot of quickness. I think one of their linebackers is very fast, and they really have kind of a 5 defensive back system. It's a 4-2-5 type concept, and all 5 of those guys move very well. So they have quite a few interceptions. So making sure we figured all of that out and we're not throwing things right at them is always the fun part of every week. Their defensive linemen are smaller than we've played all year, but they might be quicker. So it'll be fun to adjust, in that very first quarter. So they don't blitz a lot, and they line up in similar coverages quite a bit and so forth. So hopefully that's going to be something that it's easy for the guys to read and react to, and then just play fast.
Well, hopefully it will be a little bit easier with Spencer Stanek, a guy who's leading the nation in passing efficiency. Broke a record this past weekend for passing touchdowns in a single season, besting Cam Knis's record from 2006. We talked about this, early on the season. Is this one of the best starts you've seen to a quarterback in your time here at North Central? Now we're here at the end of the season. Is this one of the best seasons you've seen at North Central?
Very definitely, yeah. He's, the touchdown to interception ratio is almost perfect, so that's really good. And he's having fun, and he's relaxed, and he's focused, and his teammates are 100% behind him and in his corner. So that's when you have those magic seasons. So your quarterback, that's a tough spot for any young man to play, because you have got to win over everybody. And you have to set the stage and the example and all of these things that help make the offense work. And Spencer has had a really, really amazing, fabulous year, and I'm so happy for him. And so are his teammates. So we think he gives us a chance to play well against any opponent that we happen to draw on the offensive side. And then, of course, Shane and Nick give us that opportunity on the defensive side, along with the help of some great linemen on both sides of the ball.
Coaches happy for him, players happy for him, and we talked to a couple of them in this week's What's the Word?
It's just a tribute to him and what he's done from the end of last season until now. I mean, he's been tremendous. He's led, which was something we asked him to do this year that was important for our team. And you see our offense performing the way it is in large part because of his leadership, let alone what he's done with his physical ability. So it's really been a lot of fun to watch. We've had some unbelievable quarterbacks here, and the season he's put together is really unmatched. I mean, I want to say he's 31, 32 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
It's unbelievable. Cam and Aaron are such great quarterbacks. Aaron was pretty much my mentor my freshman year. Great guy, and I don't like taking all the credit for stuff like that. We have great receivers. Pete and Chad have been doing lights out all year. My O-line's been doing incredible. I've had no pressure all year, but I mean, it's just something. It's really cool, to hear that.
So quickly, Coach, 4th playoff appearance in 4 years, 8 in 9 years. What do you want to do this year to make it different from the past?
Get past round 2. Actually, let's get past round 1 right away. And just see if we can figure out how to make it easier for the guys, less stressful, so that they can really stay focused and play fast.
That's the coach of your undefeated North Central Cardinals. Playoffs are next. Coach is done until next week. Don't go anywhere. Next on the Red Zone, we're joined by a couple of Cardinals gearing up for said playoff run.
Hi, my name's CJ. A few years ago, my father became seriously ill. I did what I could do before he passed, but it took its toll. I lost my job, my house. I'm getting back on my feet, but I don't know when there'll be food on the table. How'd I do, CJ?
We could be twins.
Well, cousins, maybe.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
We're back inside the red zone. Kicker Nick Dace and linebacker Michael Weidner on set with us. Guys, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So, guys, Augustana, big win. Nick, we'll start with you. You had a record-setting day, 4 field goals, and that was good for 17 points, which is now a CCIW single-game record. You've had a couple of really great games this season. You had a 56-yarder earlier in the season. It's been up and down. We'll call it like it is here. You had some struggles early on. You've come back strong. What's been the difference?
Just getting my confidence back, my sophomore and junior year, I had, Tyler Rashi, so we kind of, got a little bit of chemistry going. So, losing that, it was definitely my confidence that went down, but I think we're back on track. So, better late than never, right?
I think absolutely. If you're a kicker, you want to have that late season surge, so you're coming into the playoffs, the most important games of the season,
right,
with the most confidence. Is that right?
Yep, definitely. I'm glad I, was able to get back on track, especially going into the big games at the end of the season with Wheaton and Wesleyan, and like you said, with the playoffs now. So hopefully we'll stay there.
And Mike, your special teams guy, also linebacker as well. Let's just start with the defensive side of the ball. It's really been a great surprise for I guess us in the media watching this team kind of go along this year. Basically the best defense in the CCIW. Mike Murray's speedy off defense coming through big this year. What has been fun for you personally getting in this defense?
I think it's just the simplicity of it and the ability that he gives us to just kind of fly around and make plays. I think you see that every Saturday, with Trey, Shane, and Nick just flying around making tackles for loss, interceptions, big plays. I think it's really helped us a lot, even top to bottom on the defense.
And Shane has been so outstanding this year as that kind of like last gap effort and as a safety spot. Basically, that's his job description. What have you seen from him? What can you say about the season that he's having?
It's pretty incredible. I think I saw last week. I was looking at the CCIW stats, and he was averaging almost an interception a game, which is pretty awesome. And it all starts up front with the D line getting pressure, linebackers holding in coverage, and we've dealt with a lot of scrambling quarterbacks, and Shane just sits back there, stays in coverage, kind of plays the center field, and he's making plays for us.
Tied for the program lead with 15 career interceptions. Nick, back to you. You work closely with Kevin Loof, the new punter for this season, and we talked to you guys earlier on this year about how Kevin was a first-year punter, and you guys working closely on the sideline each and every day during practice, during games. Mm-hmm. He's gotten better as well during the season. What have you seen from his progression as the punter?
He's worked really hard. I know in high school, I think he was an all-region punter, all-regional punter. But yeah, he's worked really hard in the off season. I know the first 3 years, he was just doing the kickoffs, and he came into senior year, wanted to take the punt job, and he did a really good job, and he earned it. So he's been doing great.
Yeah, definitely a punter at Lake Zurich, and he was fantastic, and he's kind of taken those skills over to the college ranks. Both of you guys are seniors, and as we talked about with Coach, playoffs, it's the most important part of the year, aside from the Wheaton game, which you guys want to win every single year. Now that you have made the playoffs, you beat Wesleyan, you beat Wheaton, this is the most important time of the year. What are your goals for the playoffs personally and as a team, Mike?
First off, personally, I would say, contributing anyway, whatever they need me to do. Special teams is a big part of what we do. Early on in the year, we weren't so special, but I think we're starting to come around and actually kind of gel really well. So, hitting on all cylinders in specials and then contributing anyway in defense. As a team, we want to get past the first round, obviously. This has kind of been a challenge for us the last couple of years, first and second round with, week 10 and finals, Thanksgiving. So that poses a challenge, and I think, with this group of seniors, I think we're going to handle it pretty well.
The Cardinals are entering their 4th straight postseason. In this week's Cardinal Corner, we take a look back at how the previous 3 trips went.
North Central football has a long line of success over the past decade. 8 playoff trips, 8 conference titles, and lots of new records. But a deep playoff run has eluded the program each year. The furthest the Cardinals have gone in the 12-year John Thorne era was 2010, the last time North Central went undefeated in the regular season. The Cards cruised in the first 2 rounds, but to win the program's first quarterfinal game, NCC had to go through the defending D3 champs, University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. North Central led through the first 3 quarters of the game, but had its season end after a 20-10 loss to the eventual repeat champs. 2011 featured a record-setting offense and a solid 59-13 first-round victory over University of Dubuque, but a second-round date against one of the best defenses in the nation, Wabash College, turned sour after North Central gave up a 21-point lead, knocking them out. North Central also lost in the second round last year. 5 turnovers doomed the Cardinals to a 30-14 loss against Oregon's Linfield College. But this year, the grizzled group of seniors are using past heartbreaks to break the mold.
I think this team's a little different than any of the teams I've been a part of in the past. You know, we're really determined and we're really, really calm under pressure. So I think we'll be just fine, and it's going to be exciting to see who we play first game.
It's very intense, and we a lot of times I feel like we get a little too tense sometimes, and I think this year is totally different. We have a totally different mindset, just a little more relaxed, and just trying to have a little more fun. So we're hopefully going to take that into the playoffs and have a great run.
After all the accolades and conference titles, there's only one thing left for this group: winning in November and December.
As Mike said, special teams maybe weren't so special early on in the season, but they kind of getting their legs so far. We saw Jordan Dean with that 84-yard kickoff return. John Skopna had a nice punt return as well. What's been the message to the special teams team, and how have they kind of come through in their progression this year?
Like you said, it started off a little rough, not getting too many yards on the returns, making a few mistakes here and there, not following through with assignments. But towards the end of the season, it actually started being special, and hopefully we keep that going in the playoffs.
As senior day, you guys were just celebrated. What have these past 4 or so years meant for you, Mike?
It's meant the world, just coming here from a smaller school and coming up to Naperville and experiencing North Central College football. It's not just the games, it's the school, the people, the program itself. It just meant the world to me. And
Nick, as one of the, you hold so many records at this school, and I know you like to defer to your teammates in the offense for helping you put those records on the board as well. But on a personal level, what kind of preparation does it take as a kicker? I know kickers usually kind of get overlooked, and it's not fair because it's such an important facet of the game. What do you do personally each week to prepare for a game, especially playoffs coming up when each kick is all the more important?
Yeah, kicking is kind of one of those unique positions on the football team. Obviously you have to rely on your snapper and holder, but a lot of it comes down to, just a mental game, and you have to be there and ready and focused. So during practice, it's just a lot of individual work, dry runs, 1 steps, no steps, and then of course just snap, hold, kick. Getting a lot of those in with Rizak and Schweitzer, and getting prepared for Saturdays.
Well, you guys have been fantastic this year. We really appreciate you coming in. We hope to talk to you guys about a win come Saturday.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
When we return, North Central Sports Information Director Clark Tusher joins us to talk about the beginning of basketball season here in the Red Zone.
Today is Saturday. 60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. Get ideas. Get involved. Get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
The Red Zone is back. We wrap up another episode with North Central SID. Clark Tusher. Clark, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
It's a big week coming up for cross country. We're going to talk about basketball a little bit later, but let's start with cross country. It's the D3 National Championships, and the men are going to be well represented in Hanover, Indiana. We've talked a little bit this year in the process of getting to this point about how Coach Al Carius would have trouble getting that top 7. What kind of job is he doing here to get to that point for this weekend?
Well, if the regional meet is any indication, I think it was a direct hit. He put up half the score of the next best team in the competition, which is still ranked number 2 in the country heading into the national championship. So I think, based on the large amount of data that he gathers on these guys from week to week, he was able to make some good decisions and get the right 7 guys on the starting line.
And John Crane named the Athlete of the Year, the Midwest Region Athlete of the Year, and now Carius, obviously, the Midwest Region Coach of the Year. These two guys kind of leading the charge. I guess chances are looking pretty good for a 3rd straight national championship at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they understand that it's going to take an all-out effort, and they're not just competing against the teams in the race, they're competing against their own record books as well, trying to take their place in that history as one of the top teams. So I think they're chasing some invisible goals there as well. So when you're competing against yourself, that tends to bring out the best effort. So we'll have to see if that happens on Saturday.
Coach Carius always says, chase your, personal bests, and that's obviously what they're going to try to do. So good luck to those guys. Let's move over to basketball. The men coming into the season ranked 6th in the nation. They had an opening season win against Valor Christian College, and then had their 20-game home winning streak, which spanned across 3 different seasons, snapped against DePauw. A game in which we saw Landon Gamble get in some early foul trouble, and I guess as we've seen throughout his career that could be an issue. How important is Landon to this team when he's out of the game with that foul trouble?
Well, it's a different dynamic this year because we don't have as much depth in the post as we've had in the past. You basically are rotating him and Jack Burchett in and out in the post there, and when he's not able to play, then you're a little thin and you have to go smaller, and that can change how you have to play the game. They've got a couple of guys in Tyler Every and David Robinson who could develop into roles where they're going to be able to help out in a situation like that, but it's going to take some time for them to grow into that. So this year, it's going to be an issue, and that's something that with the new rules regarding the limiting the physical play, it's a reality that they're going to have to prepare for. And it was one of those games where you come out and they're just a little flat on the second game in 2 days, and I can tell you they did a lot of running on Monday in practice. So hopefully being able to take some steps to right that ship and fix that.
Coach Todd Reardon definitely wants to get those guys into shape and to good basketball shape as well. One of the bright points over the week was Vince Kamick, who had nearly 30 points in that first game. Really hasn't lost any step in his shot as well this year.
Vince really did some work this year on shooting inside the three-point arc and expanding his game a little further, similar to what Derek Reardon was able to do the last couple of seasons. He kind of followed Derek's lead and was wise to do so, and really has become a leader on both sides of the floor. He really understood that this team would go about as far as he was able to take them, and that he would have to step up and have an expanded role on both ends of the court, and he's done that so far.
He's looked very good. Landon, when he's on the court, he looks very good as well. But yeah, good luck to the men's team at the Nationals, and thanks for stopping by, Clark.
Thank you.
That about wraps up another episode. Don't forget the football team is hosting its first round matchup against Albion College this Saturday. The two teams haven't met since 1934. Kickoff set for noon. We'll have the game live here on NCTV 17 and online at nctv17.com. We hope you'll join us next week. I'm Justin Zipser.